Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Teen Talk Central. In this week's episode, we're talking about how being alone doesn't always mean you're being lonely. If this is something that you can relate to or something that you want to listen to more about, listen to this week's episode of Teen Talk Central. Hey guys, it's Mia and welcome back to another episode of Teen Talk Central. I'm so excited you guys are here today. Today we're talking about something that I feel like can often be overlooked. It's the idea of being alone. And I think for a lot of teens we can often feel that way, whether it's, losing a friend group, not being invited out, or just spending more time in your own head. I think solitude can bring up fear and discomfort. In this episode, we're going to unpack how to turn these quiet moments into something a lot more powerful and something that can be used for good. So I feel like we should start off with, I think there's a huge difference between being alone and being lonely. I think being lonely is not having the right support group, not having the right people around you, and then being alone is kind of choosing to do it. You choose to kind of think about who you want to put and surround yourself with, and when you're alone it's because no one else can really match your standards. I think our culture often treats solitude as something that we have to fix instead of something that we should kind of be taking pride in and something that we should be doing for ourselves. I feel like a lot of the time on Instagram and on TikTok it's like, oh, if you're alone that's like a bad thing and you shouldn't be alone, like you should always have people around you and you should always be surrounded by a bunch of people, and I just feel like that's kind of wrong. I feel like us being alone can actually help us grow emotionally and mentally, and it's not something that I feel like a lot of people understand these days. I think if you are alone and you learn how to enjoy being alone, you then learn how to enjoy the presence and the comfort of other people around you. I think we should kind of talk about certain scenarios. I think when you feel left out, when your friends are busy, you can often feel like, oh, my friends don't like me or they don't want to hang out with me. And I think that kind of navigates to this social shift. Usually there's like a change to dynamic. Something could have happened. You could have caused something, they could have caused something. And it often makes you feel like the kind of lonely as in terms of social media. But I don't think you should kind of feel a bit that way. I think instead you should kind of learn that, okay, if they are, deciding to not hang out with me, I shouldn't be lonely. I should choose this alone time and do something with it, and I should try to grow as a person from this. I think when you are alone, it gives you the perfect opportunity to do some self-reflection and some self-work. I think spending weekends alone while others seem to have plans can also feel a little sad. I think sometimes we see people and they're always hanging out with a bunch of people and they're always going to parties, getting invited to stuff, and sometimes you're just sitting in your room and it's 10 p.m. and you're just scrolling on TikTok or Instagram. And I think instead of scrolling, you should get off your phone and go do something. If it's 10 p.m., maybe go to sleep. But if it's during the day, go and do something to make yourself better and make your life easier and better for yourself. I think certain times we can feel like there's this idea that solitude can give us space to understand who we are. I think that's really important. I think being alone allows you to think without any external influence. I think sometimes if we are thinking with friends, there's this kind of idea of like external people, other people saying things that could influence you in a negative way, and that's called the self-concept of clarity. I think it's really important for us to think about what we do and kind of manage our own decisions for ourselves. Another thing is cognitive reframing. I think instead of shifting the idea from no one's around to this is time for me, I really want to stress the importance of spending every day with a purpose. And if you're alone, that's fine. But how can we best use this time? If you're alone, maybe go for a walk or do stretching, read a book, something to help fulfill yourself, make yourself better. And then also, we always talk about this, but the dopamine baseline reset. taking breaks from constant social stimulation restores your balance. Humans are meant to be social creatures, but they are not meant to be social all the time. Like, you're not supposed to hang out with people 24/7, right? But I think there's this idea that, oh, we have to be hanging out with all these people all the time, and that kind of disrupts the baseline. So if you can learn what your own baseline is and kind of rebalance it, it's going to be really good for you in the long run. And then the last one is attachment theory. I think we have to understand why some people struggle more with alone time than others. I think some people do have what people call attachment issues, where they love to hang out with only the same people every single day, and they don't want to hang out with other people, and they don't want their friends to hang out with other people. And that is something that's really dangerous and something that we should try to avoid. If that's something that you think you're doing, maybe consider taking a step back and doing some self-reflection. And I want to get into some advice on how to be okay with alone time, because I think a lot of the time people don't know what to do when they have so much time on their hands. Number 1, start with micro moments of intentional solitude. For example, for me, after school, I come back and I go on a walk or a run. And you can also take this time to journal, write music, arts and crafts. Just do something for yourself without kind of being into that like forced alone time. Kind of choose to crave out this alone time. And I've learned that I really enjoy my alone time, and I can honestly go days with this alone time after school. It's wonderful. And the next one is replacing FOMO with JOMO. Get it? JOMO. Instead of the fear of missing out, it's the joy of missing out. It's what joy you can bring to yourself when you're still missing out on the hangout. Obviously, it's sad if you don't get invited, and you can feel sad, but you can also reframe the mindset. And the next thing is find creative things to do alone that still feel fulfilling. For example, drawing or making Legos. I just made Legos tonight. It was so much fun, and it was something that I could do alone, and I felt so fulfilled, but I didn't have to have other people with me. I could do it alone watching a movie, and it was amazing. And I think we should all find something that we can do. And then the last one is just rebuilding social confidence after getting comfortable solo. I think the only way for us to be able to feel comfortable in a social experience is if you're comfortable with yourself. I think we hear this a lot, but the only way to feel truly comfortable with other people is finding peace within yourself. Without peace with yourself, you can't find peace with other people, because you don't know what peace is for you. And I think that's really important, and I feel like we as a society just need to take a step back and kind of reflect on what it truly is to be alone, and how being alone is really not a negative thing and should be seen as a very positive thing. Now, too much alone time is also not good. I'm saying, you should still go to school and talk to people and everything, but you don't have to hang out with 30 different people on the weekends, because we need breaks. And even if you're an extrovert, you still need some social time, but you also do need alone time, and to kind of reset, recharge, and just like reflect. I think that being alone can just make your relationship stronger overall, because you have confidence in yourself, and the other person has confidence in themselves as well. And I feel like we need to remember that solitude isn't isolation, it's self-connection. And I want this quote to be carried on throughout the rest of your week. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Teen Talk Central. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys take some time throughout your days to just have micro moments of solitude. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in next week's episode. Bye.